Hello and welcome to Roughcut, a National Broadcasting Society weekly variety show. For our first episode of the 2017-2018 school year, we start off with the NBS News Desk to catch us up on all the happenings in Bloomsburg and beyond.
Good evening and welcome to the News Desk. I'm Brian Ortiz.
And I'm Deanna Jackson. Tonight we start off by going to our field reporter, Connell Smith.
Thanks, Brian and Deanna. Earlier I had the privilege of speaking with the current CGA parliamentarian and got his thoughts on how important he thinks it is to get involved with not just student government, but clubs on campus as well.
Being involved in student government is the most important decision you'll make, hands down. The student government is such a great facet, a great outlet for anything. Every club here on campus has to go to the student government. Because everything we do helps us realize there's a greater future, there's something better, something more important past Bloomsburg University. Bloomsburg University is a great institution, but this is just helping us start off our lives for something better and something more in the future.
If there's anything that we learned from William Turner's explanation on how important it is to get involved, it's that no matter what, it's never too late. I'm Connell Smith for the News Desk. Back to you guys in the studio.
Thanks, Connell. Puerto Rico, narrowly escaping the wrath of Hurricane Irma, has now become a safe haven for its Caribbean neighbors. Puerto Rican residents were seen donating vital supplies, such as food and water, to boaters who were on their way to provide assistance and evacuation to surrounding islands devastated by the storm. Military assistance has also been successful. Roughly 1,200 civilians, most of whom are American citizens, were also evacuated from the neighboring Virgin Islands on several C-130 cargo planes. Many of whom are sailing towards the ravaged U.S. and British Virgin Islands are doing so purely out of the kindness of their heart and for the camaraderie they share. It's still too early to determine how devastating this storm was, especially in the U.S., but CNN reported that on some Caribbean islands, roughly 70 to 90% of infrastructure was destroyed or damaged.
President Donald Trump said Thursday he was fairly close to a deal with congressional leaders to preserve protections for young immigrants living illegally in America. But he's insisting on massive border security as part of an agreement and a guarantee that he'll get funding for a border wall. Trump, speaking to reporters before surveying damage in Florida, pushed back against Democratic leaders who claimed there was a deal on the Deferred Action for Childhood Arrivals initiative. He also said his promised wall along the U.S.-Mexico border would come later. We're working on a plan subject to getting massive border controls. We're working on a plan for DACA. People want to see that happen, Trump said. He added, I think we're fairly close, but we have to get massive border security. After he landed in Florida, he declared repeatedly, if we don't have a wall, we're doing nothing. That demand was the latest stipulation in a morning of mixed messages from the administration.
Hurricane season is upon us, so let's throw it over to our chief meteorologist, Danny Krimpaski, to see what's going on outside.
Hello, everybody. I will be taking over for Hurricane Haas. And speaking of hurricanes, we've got a lot of them. People are still trying to recover from Hurricane Harvey over in Texas and Hurricane Irma down in the Virgin Islands in Florida. And now, Hurricane Jose is making his way towards the East Coast on a west-northwest track before it turns and heads more north this weekend. As for the weekly weather updates, tomorrow it will be mostly sunny with a high of 74 and a low of 50 degrees. Thursday, mainly cloudy, high of 75 and a low of 56. Friday will be considerably cloudy with a high of 81 and a low of 56. And for Saturday, mostly cloudy with a high of 77 and a low of 62. Not bad if you're planning on going to the fair. Back to Deanna and Brian.
Well, that's all that we have time for tonight. I'm Deanna Jackson.
And I'm Brian Ortiz. Good night, and thanks for watching.
We catch up with everything that's happening in Hollywood with HotSpot.
Hey guys, and welcome to HotSpot, your all-access pass to everything entertainment news. I'm Karen Riccardi.
And I'm Morgan Carey.
We have some awesome stories for you today, ranging from the sappy celeb news to Johnny Cagg's I Honestly Didn't Know That piece, to an introduction to a new segment coming soon to HotSpot.
We all know our beloved Selena Gomez, who was diagnosed with lupus in 2015, laid pretty low for the past few months. Gomez's fans were worried all over social media, wondering where their favorite pop star was over the summer. Turns out, actually, Selena heard about her fans' concern and publicly announced that she received a kidney transplant from her friend and Secret Life of the American Teenager star, Francia Reza. Selena shared, "She gave me the ultimate gift and sacrifice by donating her kidney to me. I am honestly so blessed. I love you so much, sis."
The latest news is that the pop star is now recovering a little longer. She should be back on her grind in no time. I think I speak for all of us when I say that we're glad you're okay, Selena. Now to Johnny Kaggs with this week's segment of I Honestly Didn't Know That.
What's going on? It's your boy Johnny. We got a good one for you here today. Jumping right into it. Breaking into the entertainment industry is often seen by many as a lofty, unreachable goal, especially if you're not from a major metropolis like the Big Apple or the City of Angels. But where you're from doesn't really matter. It's where you choose to go that counts. This especially rings true for one particular actress who currently has a starring role in a Marvel television franchise. I honestly didn't know that Kristen Ritter, who's been in a number of shows such as Veronica Mars, Gilmore Girls, Breaking Bad, and Jessica Jones, was born right here in Bloomsburg, PA. Growing up on a farm, she began her on-camera career as a model when she was just 15 after being recruited by a modeling agency at a shopping mall. I wish I could get noticed at a mall. At 18, she moved to New York City to continue modeling while studying acting. After earning some minor roles on film, including guest starring for 8 episodes on Gilmore Girls, she moved to LA, where she'd go on to have critically acclaimed roles such as Jane Margolis in Breaking Bad and Jessica Jones in the Marvel Netflix series. Right now, you can catch her on Marvel's The Defenders, and she'll also be coming back in 2018 for a second season of Jessica Jones.
Thanks, Johnny. Always so informative. So next week, we will have a new segment called Minutes with Marilise, where Marilise will dive deep into celeb couples of the week and give us some inside scoops on her view of the celeb world.
So don't forget to tune in. That's all we have today for this week's episode of HotSpot.
Next, we head across the studio and get a sports update from the wrap-up.
Welcome back. I've got Jake, our MLB analyst, with us, here to ask him a couple questions. So Jake, first off, season wrapping up, teams are finally starting to clinch playoff spots. Who do you have for your playoff bracket will start in the American League?
Yeah, like you said, 2 weeks left in the Major League Baseball regular season. Breaking it down, I have the Cleveland Indians making it with the #1 seed. They've won 21 straight contests. That's an American League record. We barely see this in sports, and unfortunately, it's barely being talked about because football season's taken over the conversation right now. So behind them, I have the Houston Astros, who are still hanging in there at #2. They've kind of been impacted by the hurricane a little bit, had to play some games away from Houston. And obviously, there's another series taking place. I think it's the Marlins series that's taking place in Milwaukee because of the hurricanes down there, which that's in the National League. But anyway, Cleveland #1, Houston #2. I have the Red Sox coming in #3, winning the AL East. And then going over in the National League, I have the Nationals overtaking the Dodgers, who, as of last night, were 1-9 in their last 10 contests. They're kind of slipping after a historic summer.
Yeah, the Dodgers really dropped off really quick.
Yes, like you said. So Nationals #1, Dodgers #2. I have the Cubs at #3, and it's actually interesting. The 2 wildcard teams, the Diamondbacks and the Rockies, who I have right now, they're neck and neck. Basically, they all had better records than the Cubs, but it's just because of the division. The Cubs would obviously finish in first place. You could still see the Cardinals slip in there, but I think the Cubs, with their World Series experience from last year, the Cardinals are a little young and inexperienced, so I have the Cubs going at #3, and then, like I said, the Diamondbacks and Rockies in the West, both of them taking the wild card slots in the National League.
All right, now, you did have, a little bit of time to prepare with these questions, so I want to throw a little bit curveball at you. Yes.
Go for it.
Pun absolutely intended there. So, Aaron Judge had a historically unbelievable start to his career. Does Aaron, since then he's kind of tailed off. He has that strikeout streak. Does that start and what he does now, is that enough for him to win American League Rookie of the Year this year?
I think he's certainly in the running for Rookie of the Year. He could have been MVP, but because of his second half, I think that's going to derail him there. But I do think he has a strong shot to win American League Rookie of the Year. Another guy who people aren't talking about is Trey Mancini, infielder from the Orioles, has had a stellar He played a little bit last year, but really this is his actual rookie season. He's had a really strong year, but how can you beat Aaron Judge's historic first half? So between those two, Judge is the clear-cut front runner for the American League Rookie of the Year. So that will definitely be interesting as the playoffs begin with in a couple weeks here.
All right. That's all we have for baseball talk.
Thanks, Sarah. I'm Jimmy Brown alongside here with Aaron Kaplan and Breon Young, and we're here to talk about some of our favorite trades in the NBA offseason.
Okay, first trade I would like to talk about is the Paul George trade from the Indiana Pacers to Oklahoma City Thunder. I like this trade because it shows like the dominance of Paul George leaving Indiana Pacers to join a powerhouse player in Russell Westbrook. I like this trade because it shows like that he's ready to win a title. Russell Westbrook's ready to win the NBA championship, and I think these players can go far, and this team can go far throughout the Western Conference.
My personal favorite was the Boston and Cleveland trade. Boston received Kyrie Irving, and the Cleveland Cavaliers received Isaiah Thomas, Jay Crowder, and Ante Zizic, and as well as a 2018 first-round pick. I personally like this trade because I feel like it helps LeBron James and the Cleveland Cavaliers to be able to take on some of the tougher teams in the West. I know the teams in the East seem to lack a lot of power, so Cleveland tends to be the team to come out most of the time. Kyrie Irving will help Boston, though, so I think that will be a tough feat for Cleveland.
So the next trade, the Houston Rockets received Chris Paul in exchange for Patrick Beverley, Sam Decker, Montrezl Harrell, DeAndre Liggins, Darren Hillier, Lou Williams, and Kyle Wiltshire, along with a 2018 first-round pick with cash considerations. So in my opinion with this trade, I'm not sure if I really like it that much because Chris Paul is really a ball dominant point guard, and James Harden was just promoted to the point guard position by Mike D'Antoni last year, and that was working really good for them. So they just added another all-star point guard to the team, so there could be a little clash there, especially they need to share the ball. There's only one ball. So I'm not really sure. It's a tough trade, but we'll see how it goes.
Well, that's all we have.
My name's Matt. Welcome back to another episode of Football Talk. Two questions that are being passed around right now in the college football world. The first one is Oklahoma a legitimate playoff contender? Yes, but ... They are. They had a huge win on the road against Ohio State. Baker Mayfield played out of his mind. He's an unbelievable quarterback. In my opinion, the most NFL-ready quarterback coming into the NFL draft for this year. The only reason I say but is because the Big 12 does not have a conference championship game, and that is the reason we have not seen Oklahoma in the playoff yet. Oklahoma has had teams run by Baker Mayfield that have been good enough to qualify for the playoffs, but considering they don't actually play for any type of conference championship game, it's kind of a moot point no matter how well they do. After last season, Penn State winning the Big Ten championship game and still not getting a playoff spot, whether they deserve it or not, that's not part of the question. The fact is, they won, they didn't get it. Does that leave the door open for Oklahoma to actually get a spot this year, knowing that an actual conference champion can still get in? The other question I want to talk about is one that's more local. Is Penn State actually a top 5 team? And Penn State fans, I'm sorry, but no. You're good, top 15, maybe top 10, I'll argue that. But for right now, just everybody relax. The rankings don't mean anything yet. That's all I've got.
Finish it off, we'll go to our newest segment, NBS Digital Shorts, to hopefully get a good laugh.
Yo, man, I don't know if you know this, but I'm an SIO. I'm on the board for SIO. And I'm like, yeah, I know Bloomsburg doesn't recognize us right now, but I don't care because we're SIO. Yeah, this guy gets it. Yeah, but, I'm sorry, this sounds weird, but dude, you look like a girl I used to know, man. Yeah, I don't know where I'm going.
So where are you from again? Da! I'm frickin' Australian. I love me fish and chips, and I always respect me elders. Yeah, okay. So Canada. See?
Hey.
Hey, buddy.
Hey, what's up, guys? It's For Real Ferret here with another video. So last Wednesday morning, my roommate comes in at 3 o'clock in the morning. Like, what are you doing? You just secret stripper or like selling crack? I don't know. But then, and he starts making damn microwave oatmeal. Like, who raised you? That is so rude. Remember to like, comment, subscribe. Check out my Facebook, my Twitter, my MySpace, my LinkedIn. Support my Patreon. Links in the description, everybody. Have a good one.
Wake up, handsome. How you doing?
I
got you some pizza. I ate quite a bit deal of it though, but I hope you like sausage.
Why? What?
Extra sausage.
Drew, why's your in a box?
I made it just for you.
I don't want it.
Why won't you love me?
I think I broke a nail.
Hey, I will beat you with a small child. Sorry.
That's all we have time for this week in Rough Cut. Join us next time and make it happen.